In 1957, scientists first began developing what is known today as the Internet. In 1962, they began theorizing that they can create a global network of computers. In 1976, that dream becomes a reality when a satellite connects the US to Europe. Soon after that, Queen Elizabeth II sends her first email. In 1994, Pizza Hut creates the first online ordering system, and in 1996, the first cell phone with internet access is released. And about 20 years ago, Wi-Fi has standardized. Technology has grown and improved and has further connected us as a culture. And that's what science does. That's what I love about it. It grows and develops, utilizing on past knowledge to perfect current ideas. It asks questions and makes predictions about the world, hoping to find the answers along the way. It's kind of like a forest. A person has an idea or a concept, and that acts as a seedling. And that person's creativity and ingenuity is what brings fertility to the soil. And as a seed grows, it's because that person is using their skills to help nurture it. And as the seed's roots travel underneath the ground, it touches more people and inspires more lives. Once that idea is developed, once it's accomplished, once the Queen of England can send an email to someone in America, that tree is fully grown. And while that idea is now complete, there's a tree that can now spread countless numbers of seeds, countless numbers of ideas to people who are just itching to grow and learn as a person, as a community. And while not all soil are fertile, while some people don't believe that their dreams can become a reality, there's just enough to keep our world moving forward. And that's what God loves, is that creativity, that determination. In Exodus 35:31 through 32, God prepared his servant and filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze. The tabernacle is the earthly dwelling place of God, and of course he's going to want the craftsman, the artistic designer, the passionate builder to put life into his home and to give glory to him. God's creativity is what inspires our own. We are made in his image, and we search after the same things he does. Our creativity spurs forth a world of community, technology, communications, and transportation, while God's creativity resulted in a universe of galaxies, planets, and living beings, on a little bit different scale, of course, but he called it all good. So I believe our creativity also stems from what he sees as good. Creativity and perseverance are the virtues that science is built on, and they are what drives us closer to understanding God as we wonder at his creation. Last semester, I was able to interview Dan Dickinson and his girlfriend Lindsay, both engineers in the aerospace industry. Mr. Dickinson specifically works in missile defense. So, if an enemy nation attacks our country with a missile, our government has a specific strategy to send up one of our own and intercept it before it does any damage. And to do that, we have a specific computer program that calculates all the variables: gravity, wind resistance, destination, speed, just completely to protect our country. And every year, a couple times, we shoot up one of our own missiles and intercept it with another to make sure that our programming is accurate and protective. However, blowing up 2 missiles a couple times a year costs a lot of money. And so what Mr. Dickinson works on is high-fidelity computer simulations that calculates for any possible external variable, predicting where the missiles would go and what is needed to make sure that they intercept. And he saves the country millions of dollars. And people like him are further developing on how to improve on those ideas. Lindsay is the realistic problem solver of the industry. She's the one who works with the consumer, who works with the customer, helping them figure out what they want. When they come to her with a project that they want, a question, idea, she's the one who helps make their ideas realistic, cheap, completely workable, functionable. And she gets excited by working with people to understand those problems. Both of their jobs take a lot of work, mutual cooperation, and a lot of creativity. And they work hard and they are passionate about those ideas. Engineers are excited and they push themselves forward. And I really appreciate that. I would love to be as excited as a challenge as they are. And they work hard. They really do because they love their job. And I believe God encourages us to work hard and push ourselves. Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as working for the Lord and not human masters. We shouldn't be scared of a problem or nervous. We should be excited, be happy that we can grow and develop our knowledge. And instead of being intimidated by the unknown, the impossible, be just purely excited. German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said that every man takes the limits of his own vision for the limits of the world. And how true is that? As far as we can see, that's all we think there is. We can't let humanity's standards determine our own. God created everything and knows the answer to every mystery. So, why be satisfied with what's unknown? Eventually, whether discovered by us or explained by God, everything will be known and everything will be completely understood. So, why not push ourselves and try to find and understand everything? We shouldn't be content with just saying, I don't know. I was also able to interview engineer Mr. John Karras, a dear family friend. He had worked for Lockheed Martin for several decades, working on everything from satellites to manned rockets and strategic missiles. And he was a complete wealth of knowledge, and he was absolutely amazing. But one of my favorite takeaways from the interview was the discussion of understanding the industry of the aerospace field and the bureaucracy involved. When he worked at Lockheed Martin, they would make contracts with many different organizations, such as NASA or the Air Force, to work on a specific project. And then that big company, Lockheed Martin or Boeing, would work with smaller companies to work on specific parts together. And then those smaller companies would work with even smaller companies to just get the pieces. They had to buy their bolts from somewhere. They worked with a company to design the engine. They had to get their metal from somewhere. And understanding how everything just turned into one web of all these people working together on one project, it was simply fascinating. And they had trials, let me tell you. Not every project was a success. Not every mission completely perfect. But even with trials and tribulations, they always pushed themselves and questioned the impossible. They attempted as a company, as an individual, as a country, to go a little further and run a little faster. And that's what pushes the sciences forward. One day, when I was at this Colorado School of Mines' campus, I was able to listen to a speaker who talked about how far they really wanted to push themselves. She talked about how what they believed was possible in the next 20 years, what they believed they could stretch out to be. In 20 years, she believed that we would have an international space station not orbiting the Earth, but orbiting the moon. She believed that eventually we would have men land on Mars. She believes that we'd have a more permanent establishment on the moon, being capable of harvesting water from the poles for fuel, the hydrogen involved, and becoming less independent on Earth. She believed the long-term goal was to be able to take the outer space and use everything to our advantage, finding any sort of material or element that could better serve us now. And when I read Physics of the Future by Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist, he believed also that that was where we were heading. Now, his book was written in 2011, but he predicted that we would be relatively where we are today. He believed that we will have someone land on Mars, and he believes that we will take more advantage of the moon, of having something so close to us with shockingly a lot of material that could be used well here on Earth. He believes that our galaxy could be economically stable, that we could have tourism to the moon, that we would have businesses taking materials from coming asteroids, from reaping the oxygen from the soil of the moon to sell to companies, to the international space stations. And he believes that the long-term goal is to be independent of the Earth. Not fully, but pretty much. He believes eventually, long ways down the road, that we'll have rockets fueled by antimatter and research ships the size of needles capable of exploring every inch of space. He was going full Star Trek. It's amazing. He believes and he understands that growing and adapting is the only way to escape complacency. Perseverance and creativity better helps understand the material world and God. God says that his creation bears witness to his glory. We have all his creation at our fingertips, and it's so important that we use it to explore and better understand him. David writes in Psalm 19, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all of the earth, and their words to the end of the world." Isn't that amazing? If we have all of this knowledge, if it bears witness to so much, let's explore it. Let's better understand it. However, all the research and creativity in the world, it's hard to do that because dreams tend to burn out after continual failure. Not every idea comes to fruition. Not every plan is a success, and that can be a weight on people. Last semester, I had a plan. I was going to 3D print a model of a Toyota engine that would be functional. It would have gears, and it would move and rotate, and I don't know if it'd be fueled by electricity or not, but it was going to be very cool. And I was going to work really hard with the teacher, Mr. Spector, who was more than willing to help me see this dream come to fruition, and it was going to be really fun. And I wanted to see what we could achieve. The instructions that we were planning to use weren't our own, but it still took so much creativity, and I wanted to build off of that person's previous ideas. However, time. I didn't have enough. We didn't have enough. And with the chaos of this whole semester, that dream never happened. I don't have a Toyota engine model to show today, sadly. But even though I wasn't able to do that, it didn't mean I didn't want to shoot any higher for a project this semester. And thankfully, I found one. Thanks to a good family friend who works at Lockheed Martin, Lisa Grossbach, I was able to have a tour right before the COVID-19 chaos. And because of her, I was able to meet so many interesting engineers and see their jobs and their field. One of the ladies I met was a quality engineer, and I loved her. Her job was to be the glue that held a company together. Her job was to identify any mistakes or errors that could jeopardize a project. She would ask questions and never take anything for granted. She would make sure that the mission would be a success. And, sometimes she does discover errors, and that slows down a project. But, like she said, it's okay to be the bad guy, because she is the detail-oriented person that makes a company run smoothly. And people like her are truly what make a huge company like Lockheed Martin truly successful. I was also able to interview another younger engineer whose name was Kyle Duran. And for such a young engineer, he truly had so much information already to be used. He had already worked in construction, working on water systems, and was spreading around, working on several different projects throughout Lockheed Martin. He was so versatile and so well-rounded, I couldn't help but be in awe at him. He truly showed the benefit of being able to work well in any environment with any person. And that was because he had that passion to push him forward. I was also able to see several amazing labs, everywhere from where they were designing batteries to antennae, and I was even able to go inside a clean room and see a project up close, see a really cool satellite. And I fell in love with every project, every person that was working there. They were all amazing people, and I fell in love with engineering once again. And that's why it's so amazing, because everywhere you look, anywhere you look, it's always growing, it's always developing, it's always different, and it's always pulling on someone's passions. Nobel Prize winner André Gide said, "Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore." Courage is needed to step into the unknown, and these engineers were fully capable of it. Benjamin Franklin risked electrocution when studying lightning, leading to thousands of applications today. Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space and to orbit the globe, revealing a new perspective of our world. Jacques Cousteau and Émile Gagnon defied the odds and created the first successful set of scuba gear. People have been able to go to the bottom of the sea, out into space, discovering every inch of our world. However, there's still a lot to learn, and that's what's so interesting. Whether you're searching at the very depths of the sea or in galaxies far, far away, there is always something new to understand. I want to see the world through the eyes of an explorer. I don't want to accept a partial answer, because one day all things will be answered fully. 1 Corinthians 13:12. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Jesus came to bear witness to the truth. If he and his creation are a testimony to the truth, who wouldn't want to discover it? He's the creator. I want to be the builder who uses every resource, opportunity, and discovery to better understand him. Romans 12:2 says, "If we do not conform to the pattern of this world, then we will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." We should jump into the sea of the unknown. Even if we lose sight of the shore, God will be there, guiding our path, leading us to him. While engineering is my passion, it's not my goal. God should be the ultimate discovery and my ultimate goal.